Okay, so just bear with me. So if an asteroid is coming towards Earth and it's going to hit Earth, right? You have two options. You can try and launch something from Earth. You can launch from the moon. But if you were going to do Earth, you'd want to create a platform, and I'm not sure you'd be able to push with enough force to launch this thing with enough force to be able to hit it with the amount of force that you would need to pierce the crust of this guy with a rocket motor out here perpendicular, but like this, not like this. So, okay, that wasn't well drawn. So if this is the asteroid, and this is the front, and the front is headed towards Earth, then what you have to do is you have to pierce it, and then once you're hooked on it, then you take this rocket and weight, and you thrust. So that you can start putting torsional forces on it. But you have to pierce it. And I don't know of any way that you'd be able to pierce it without launching something. Because rockets, I don't think rockets would even pierce that. You need mechanical energy from something with mass, and we wouldn't be able to launch something with enough pressure from Earth. I mean, you'd have to launch a giant tungsten rod out of our gravity, and you'd lose a ton of energy in that process. So we needed to go to the moon and build the means to launch the tungsten rod with this rocket at the end, and maybe that thing folds out, so maybe it's stored like this, and then it flips out at this angle, but it's stored like this, right? And then pierce. But we haven't done any of that, so that's why we're literally flying little satellites at these things, like, oh, maybe we can push it with our dinky little satellite. That's cool. I mean, we're all gonna die, but it's cool. I mean, it's a great concept. It just doesn't fucking work. The only other thing, would be if you were to be able to land a craft on it, which I think is harder than just shooting it, because you can track the thing and see where it's going and then hit it, right? You could even take multiple shots at it, meaning you could stick it 7 or 8 times from the moon with a launcher. And then it's firing off in sequences. So it'll be fire for a second, 2 seconds, and then you start getting that spin. But hitting it with a nukes don't have any actual force in a vacuum. So if you try to blow something up while you're skydiving, right? Like, even if I take a bomb and I put it right next to a safe and we're in the air free falling, right? No parachute, but let's just say that it makes sense for a lot of that energy is going to get dissipated. That's why you've seen these movies about, we've got to drill into the moon or into the rock and then blow it up from the inside. And there's validity to that, except that you're not going to land on a fucking asteroid going as fast as they do and then drill. That makes no sense. It has to be tungsten rods. And then the torsional force after it pierces will actually help hold the rod in the crust because you're keeping pressure on it. So even though you're firing in sequences, it should never be 0. It should be like pulse a little bit, more energy, a little bit of energy, but there should always be pressure in a direction, so that way it stays hooked. I have no idea what the actual hook is supposed to look like. I just know if you take tungsten and you shoot it into anything, even metal, it's going to pierce it. So titanium, tungsten, alloy, I don't know what it needs to be. And then at that point, you probably want it heated too, but I don't know that would make a huge difference. It might make enough of a difference. I guess once you're in, I'm not sure it would matter. If you're in, you're in. I'm not sure that in the tip you couldn't have something that oozes out that was like not a super glue, but not a polymer. Oh my goodness, it's a 2-part adhesive. But like if you had something to cement into it, that would probably be helpful. The Thor hammer. It's the torsional force. Use its own speed against it. It's a super, super, super juvenile drawing. I've never been good at drawing, but that's what has to happen. And then if you're going to do this, you're talking about helium. You're talking about a platform and going way, way up into orbit and trying to launch from the platform. And I'm not adverse to that, but you're going to lose the platform after one shot. I mean, it would take a shitload of helium, and you're definitely going to lose the platform. So you'd have to launch like 20 platforms, which would probably still be cheaper and easier than going to the moon. Tracking it's not the issue. Hitting it might be an issue, but you could shoot as many shots as you needed to. It's about getting the weight up there. And we're putting internet in space. It's like, guys, come on. Get with the program. There has to be a space base. But then every country's going to be like, you just put a tungsten rod launcher, because then if you turn that on Earth, you can do, well, not this much damage, but you can do a significant amount of damage to major cities very affordably. And you can prevent anything else from coming up into space. So that's kind of the dilemma socially, is that we're all so fucked when we need to be moving towards healthy shit. Everybody having houses and being fed and no gases and no more fossil fuels. We needed to be on trains. We need Russian engineers to help us do this and to keep us, the United States, honorable in the same way that they need us to keep them honorable. And we need the Chinese to figure out how to help us create, oh, that looks really dark, a better world by manufacturing things that are solar.